From the computer. Hello, hi, welcome to This Is Your Spotlight with your host, who? Me, Eurydice Roman, of course. This is season 4. That's right, season 4, episode 2. And today's guest is someone who I met through a friend of a friend and a friend to the show. Her name is Melissa Pena. And today we're going to talk about a topic that I have not touched, not because I haven't not had the opportunity to do so. It's just it's a reality of this world. Sometimes you get tired of seeing, for me it's like certain ribbons, like there's always something new every day. Today we're going to talk about living, surviving, dealing with the big C. The big C is cancer. So this is going to be a little heavy. If this is too much for you, then I don't know what to tell you. Leave the room, cover your ears, vete a esconder por un lugar, I don't know, go hide, do something. Tómate un té, tómate un vino, something. It's not advised to do that all the time. By the way, life is full of uncomfortable conversations. So this is my shorter season. I just wanted to warn everybody. So this is episode 2. And we're going to talk about the big C, aka cancer. No, not the zodiac sign. No, not the zodiac sign. The actual, disease itself. So Melissa is a survivor, and she did it by sheer tenacity, determination, and will. So Melissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so
And
much.
thank you for saying yes and for also agreeing to be on the show. So tell us in a few words, at least the beginning. Let's start with when you were first like diagnosed with the big C. What?
Diagnosed,
Mhm.
but I'll unpack real quick what life looked like at that moment, and then in transition with being diagnosed.
Mhm.
So basically, it was a summer of 2022,
Right.
July.
Mm-hmm.
I got the phone call. I did have. I'm gonna have to rewind that because let me just start with my routine yearly mammo.
Yeah.
Is that good? Yeah. So my routine yearly mammo, I do every year, April. I was in Puerto Rico when I got the phone call actually from my routine mammo, which I do yearly and they always come out good. And they asked me to come back. I have to do a biopsy immediately. And so that was April, May came about. By the time I got back from Puerto Rico, I missed the appointment and biopsy scheduled it June 30th of 2022. And by July 7th, they called me to tell me of 2022.
Dang, that's
Uh, yeah, that was quick. They were like, yep, it's cancer. So at that moment, it was definitely like your head explodes almost of like, oh man, it was hard to believe. I had to sit on it for a couple of days, but I didn't get upset because it was early and I
mhm.
do my yearly mammals.
Okay.
Um, I think having the understanding that, hey, it's early and technology is advanced.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically not like back 10, 15 years ago where it's like, oh, it's a death sentence. Do you know what I mean?
Correct. Yes.
So I think that's where I was able to separate and be okay to the point that I never stopped working.
Mm-hmm.
I but it was very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did have to, you know, have surgery. But that wasn't too hard either. Simple surgery. It was a light mass.
Okay.
So a lumpectomy, they call that. So I had stage 2 breast cancer.
Oof.
Um, stage 2, but stage 1, they thought initially. They didn't until they pulled out the mass, then they re-diagnosed it to stage 2. And
Mm-hmm.
That was 4 weeks of recovery, just a small incision, so it wasn't bad. I'm have high tolerance for pain.
Mm.
Felt like nothing. Started chemo, and the only thing I felt was just a slowdown in life. But I work in restaurants, as you know. I don't know. And I was working. I wasn't working, but I was working. There's a story behind that. But meaning, like in the same moment, the challenging things that happened
Okay.
was my job. So in
Right.
my job that I had currently, prior to that, I was doing really well, but new partners came in and they were in transition of redoing a restaurant. So I was out of work for that time. But I
Mm.
work in the industry
Mm-hmm.
to back up what I do as my side business, which is the music production company
Mm.
that we have here in Washington Heights, WHP Music. So I hustle for that. But
Mm.
life is so crazy when you're hustling like this.
Correct.
I honestly think it's the stress of life,
Right.
the mindset that you have. It will get you sick. But I'm a warrior. Um, Infusions were easy. I would get up, I would go by myself. They were late, even though they did do my treatment phase was done in a way that I would get up and walk to the hospital and I would come out of infusion and walk back home. And I live 15 blocks away from the hospital. Thank God. That was good. Um, but my biggest challenges actually wasn't going through the cancer treatment. It was life itself and what happens.
Correct. Right.
And
So
that to me,
because isn't I have a question
yeah, of
before
course.
when you do the treatments, don't they tell you like, oh, you have to wait or you have to stay away from people or something like that? Because especially for chemo, you could be like radioactive or something like that.
No, they didn't tell me.
Okay, good. Thank gosh.
They didn't even tell me to wear a mask. They didn't ask me to take the not the COVID shot, because the COVID shot is where I think everything, came about.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and then you know what? I think when I got stabbed by the COVID shot, I knew I
Mhm.
knew something was gonna happen, right? So I kind of wasn't like mind fucked. Like I was really pretty
Mhm.
okay, like just like, all right, it's another bullet. I'm gonna just keep moving forward. And as long as like, what are my options?
Mhm.
And if I sit down and cry, and I never sat down, I never lay down, I never rest. I would come home from an infusion and clean, cook, grocery shopping, run errands. And if I had to work, I would go to work.
Right.
Yeah.
So the infusions, how many rounds of infusions did you have to do?
How much was it? It was 6 months. I know the treatment plan. It started in October. So in October, I had it every 3 weeks. Every 3 weeks, 6 times. So it lasted from October to January.
Wow, 6 rounds. So how much of the infusions, like ounce wise, how much was it?
I didn't, as ADHD, remember we like how our ADHD, like if for me, I choose what I want to understand. And if I didn't want to understand it, I just wanted to get over it, put it in. And I already know I have to go through it. I can't go to another country and get treated. I have people tell me go to Mexico or go. And I get it, there's different treatments out there, but time is against you. So you have to figure out which treatments. There's different hospitals. The logistics behind getting yourself, with insurance and the support that you need with so many moving like um things that happen once you get diagnosed,
Mm-hmm.
the discovery phase, uh that's what's challenging is as keeping up with everything. And I didn't get a social worker.
You
And
didn't?
no.
Mm. Was that
It
a
was very
personal choice or is it just like,
they gave me a phone call. That was about it. Like, hey, what, like they gave
mm,
the resources were limited, but I would have to go look for them. And I probably, if I didn't have my ADHD on top of that, would be able to do it.
mhm. Well, I will say as somebody with diagnosed ADHD, as you're mentioning, we're talking about, a lot of things are difficult to maintain a consistent routine because there's so many times that like you'll get into the mode of it because the dopamine hits the endorphin rush, and
Mhm.
then like you're feeling like I can do this and da, 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 da. And then all of a sudden something sidelines you that, and then you're just like, you know what, why did I start? And then you get into like a depression spiral. So yeah, there, like for example, myself, when I started when I was pregnant with my son, I was going to therapy because again, this was my first child. I didn't know what to expect. And part of me was like, okay, my body's not going to be the same. Okay, fine, I'll deal with that as it goes. Pero and then one time, what got me to stop going to therapy was somebody who gave me a real stank attitude. I mean, super stank. He had the nerve to ask me. I said, "Oh, I just want to do talk therapy," and I said, "Listen, I'm pregnant. I can't exactly, just be, taking all sorts of medication all willy nilly, blah blah blah, for whatever it is you think that I have."
Mhm.
And they were like, "So then, what are you here for? What am I gonna help you with?" I was like, "Hey yo, it's like down boy, agresivo, like calm down. It's not that serious, sir." So yeah, there are things that we pick up for a momentary time because it suits whatever we need at the time, and then we just drop it like a bad habit. We forget about it again.
100%. 100%.
And it's not that we mean to be like so.
It's not intentional.
It's not intentional.
No,
It's
not
not
with
that
that
we
intent.
be
Yeah, I know it.
flaky, but
Yeah.
it happens that way. Even
It's
with friendships. Like as somebody with ADHD, I have friends that I've known for years. And my favorite phrase that friends have told me, who I deem as friends,
yeah.
like, I love hanging out with you because every time I hang out with you, it's like we pick up where we left off. It's like, well, how old are we now? Like I saw you
I
from
have a
what?
matching that sounds just like me actually. That's me and the girlfriends that we can go the ones that are like
Hmm.
young.
Hmm.
We still when it could be 20 years and like, hey, and we're still like the young girls giggling and taking
Yes,
off where we left off at. Literally
exactly.
taking off where we left off at.
And I think that's a gift. Honestly, that's a gift.
Yeah, it's fun.
It,
Actually,
it
I love that I have that energy. It's a big energy to have, and not everybody has it.
no, exactly.
It's
And
a
then
whole vibe.
sometimes
Yeah.
no, yeah, and it's interesting because you know following up with people, and I like as people say, oh, like I had one person say, oh, you're a flaky communicator. How I'm like motherfucker, I got way too much stuff going on. If either you're part of what I'm trying to do or you're
Yeah.
part of the problem. And I don't need problems.
And the
Okay.
problem are like, get over there, stay in your lane.
It's
Problem.
like exactly, you know what I mean? And it just happens a lot. So, like I said, in terms of that, I can see how going through what you went through, circling back,
Hmm.
um, it was kind of just like, okay, let me just go through it, let me just get it done
Yeah.
and push forward.
And push forward and not like,
Dwell, not sulk, not dwell,
yeah,
not
it's
like
not,
linger.
it don't matter. It don't make it like that is the biggest battle is to not soak dwell, not the chemo, not the, it's that mindset that will take you down. And let me tell you, aside from that mindset, I
Hmm.
had I had demons and people coming at me like that. I don't want to sound, but uh, what is the word I'm trying to look for? I'm sorry.
Religious?
No, no, like not literally, right? But giving you like a metaphor, like demons coming at me.
No, yeah.
At work, I was attacked by all kinds of people.
Mm-hmm.
I was challenged the most I've ever in my whole entire life on every other aspect. And the only
Mm-hmm.
thing I wanted to focus was on just like, oh, let me get my infusion, be calm
Mm-hmm.
as I can. My doctor actually said to me, forget medication, forget anything. If you want to smoke your weed, smoke your weed. And that was that. And I was like, all right, like I'm blessed. So that's how I really just,
Mhm.
it's life is crazy. And when you start to see life and you sit back and you're like, I'm doing all this, to survive, like what I do and how I work and my work ethic, the things that I do, the label, WHP music, like getting into it, dealing with other people. I had a lot of people on my back. Like
Mhm.
I was a support system. So once that happened, I had to unplug from certain people. And so business had to stop moving on one side. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
No, it does.
Yeah.
Sometimes
But
you have to
my
do
bread and butter
it.
is the restaurant industry, which has been
Mhm.
very amazing. But I think in the rush, and it's just the lifestyle plus the ADHD that you get to a certain point and then it creates stresses. And I really do believe that the combination of stress, life itself, and the food we eat, the
Yeah.
contaminations that like it's so many factors that
Yes.
there's no way that people are not cancer, the C word, the big C, however we want to discuss it. It's a big problem right now. There is a really big problem with under 50 people under 50. So definitely.
Hold on one second. Hold
Okay.
on. That. So, you talked about pushing through and avoiding negative people that you had to cut out of your life. Like
Uh,
at that point in time, what was deemed negative about, that it would have affected your experience entirely?
what was the question again?
Oh, what was deemed negative at the time that it was affecting your experience?
What was I'm gonna ask again, sorry. What was the negatives? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yes.
That was the that
How
what made the
negative were they?
experience, huh?
How negative were they that it was impacting your experience?
Um, there was a three different things happening simultaneously
Oh
that were
wow.
horrible, horrible. For me, I just remember dealing with the stress of each one, and because they're different compartments of life.
Correct.
One was work, one was like all the health and
Mm-hmm.
uh, not having worked because I always work. I have to work to survive. If I don't work, I don't survive,
No,
and really
claro,
fast.
of course.
So I don't know why the landlord decided to take me to court as I was just battling, going through surgery and everything.
Wow, what a piece of work.
So it was a lot of work. I could not get a lawyer, couldn't afford a lawyer, and I had to fight by myself. So I had to prep myself to be a freaking lawyer, and I fought, but I won. But it took 8 months of back and forth, back all through chemo. I had pneumonia, had to go in because if not, it was this whole big thing.
Oh
And
wow.
then dealing with human resource administration to help me in that meantime, because it's do I apply for part-time disability? Not part-time, not
Short
part-time.
term.
Yeah,
Short
like
term.
exactly, exactly. So it was having to go to age. Like it stresses me out even to explain how much just that HRA is one,
Mm-hmm.
and then the red tape. Like if you're not even articulate, the HRA in these facilities eat you up,
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God.
and it's so I have to, like
Mm-hmm.
show that I have a college degree. Like I'm not
Yes.
not
Yes,
your
yes.
average. I'm not here. And so I had to
Mm-hmm.
fight with people there, had to fight with the courts for a landlord. And
Right.
then my job, it was just, that's a whole interview actually, but because I don't want to unpack, but who I was working with, what happened with new partners that came in, then what happened in that transition was like I was diagnosed, but they wanted me to run the restaurant.
What? Wait a minute.
Well,
You're dealing
eh,
with the big C. You're going through infusions. You are.
I wasn't, no, I
but
didn't run it. Like, I
potentially
still,
being unhoused because
yeah,
of ridiculous circumstances, right?
because of the big C. Because of the big C, I could get a job anywhere, but I couldn't do that.
That's crazy.
And the job that I had got compromised
Hmm.
by new investors that came in, and then they brought in a new team, and the new team didn't like me. So, and then they knew that I was going through cancer, and they sabotaged. Well, and they didn't like me because I'm a
Hmm.
exactly like when you go to human resource administration, they try to eat you up. I'm not going to be like,
Hmm.
I know how to, like, I know how to work, actually run a restaurant. You guys just want to, there was no, there was something going on that they just were like, all right. But I was just going through cancer. I told them that, and just keep me as I'm clocking in and clocking out. I want no responsibility. And I did that. But when I got to that position, they sabotaged, gaslighted, they did everything and anything, another female to me, so that I don't know if they wanted me to,
Hmm.
you know, like, what, the disrespect was so unbelievable. I was appalled. I was like, what am I going through? And if I walk out, like, they literally pushed me out, and they pushed me out all
Hmm.
throughout it. But
Right.
it was, a lot of weird things were happening. They weren't, their energy, their frequency, whatever that, like, element of that I got involved, like, working with around, was not healthy. Not healthy people. They're in their own world, and I don't know. It was not, and it's
Hold
not
on,
your,
hold on, hold on, hold on.
where I
Hmm.
left off at. Yeah, the what I dealt with that
Hmm.
was I mean, to me, technically, that's a lawsuit. But what I saw, what happened,
Right.
got killed. Some, like, it was just too many things happening, and I ended up in another job though. I
Okay.
actually, I actually, that was in December when I got pushed out completely. And when the day they pushed me out, I lost it. I cry. I've never cried. I don't cry.
Right.
Nobody gets it. You can call me a bitch, whatever. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Right. Of
Keep it moving.
course.
But does, what it's what it is. But and it depends on which lane we're, like, personal or business, what's going on. Because if it's personal, I doubt it, because I'm unplugged from everybody. I live my life,
Of course.
So if
Right.
anybody is catching feelings, it's business, and within a business space. And if that's the and when that happens, that's what's most challenging to
Correct.
me, is having to deal with people that exude personal emotion, like emotions that are exacerbated from personal mindsets rather than business.
Correct.
And it's just part of
Hmm.
being a boss, being a manager, being a lead wherever you go and you're around.
So, what's the biggest takeaway that you can, tell people about dealing with the big C?
For the big C, for me, it's the mindset. You really, really, really have to understand that. And it's also being proactive with your health, right? So we have to be more intentional with everything in life today, especially.
Do you think the early diagnosis helps? Do you think getting to
I
the
do my
resources on
mammo.
time?
Yeah, so the I think right now, what it is that you have to monitor your health no matter. I don't even think the age matters anymore.
Hmm.
There's no, like, oh, you're 60, let's check for, no, colonoscopies. I'm seeing a lot of young people, and if they have had that, I did actually have, that was part of that last year's, after cancer, they're checking for everything. They have to, because I
Mm-hmm.
had a spread too. I did have a spread after surgery. There was, like, cancer spread. They just didn't take it out.
Ah, damn.
Yeah, there was a spread, and the spread is why I had to have the infusion, chemotherapy, and
Yes.
radiation.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if they had not detected a spread, then it's just a pill. There's different treatments. They're not all the same. The earlier you catch it, the better. So possibly you're on top of your health, right? your yearly physicals, very important. GYN for us women, mammals every year. I've been doing it since probably have 20 years getting mammals done.
Mm,
So I was in my early 30s.
mm. Okay.
So the consistency of that, stage 2, yes, 6 treatments, a month of radiation. I actually lost my hair. It's just like finally growing back, as you guys can see. I mean, today's my one day off. So sorry, and I thought I'd wear, my daughter gave me this, New York Yankees in the pink for breast cancer awareness. So yeah, I think right now, especially in today, our health, what we eat, a lot of water, teas maybe of like herbs that we can get to keep our system.
Mm-hmm.
Because no matter what, the air's polluted, we got COVID shots they want to put on, like there's just so much going on. And then the mind of like seeing the world falling apart, people are, all those factors will exacerbate, will turn on all the cancer cells because we have them all. They're there. So that's my biggest takeaway, is like focus on those details and know that. So then when you're like, if the diagnosis, the treatment, I think it's when you get depressed. So I think I was able to not be depressed.
Right.
It was sad for a moment because I was like, oh man, I got to go through this. And now I have to stop this and that. And that's what I was sad about. Not because I got it. And I had to fight it because I was like, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
That's it. And I pushed through with that mindset, and I never stopped. And then people try to stop me at some point, and I was like, no, I didn't even wear a mask. It's 2022. Remember, they're like, oh, you got to wear a mask. Everybody, like, I had friends attacking me, like, how dare you not wear a mask? And I'm like, it doesn't even matter to me at this point. It makes no difference. I'm getting chemo, like I'm getting like almost like nuclear, like I'm being disinfected. So don't even, what's going to happen?
True. Well, Melissa, I'd like to say thank you so much for this brief yet profound conversation. We talked about the big C, we talked about traces of ADHD, and I think mindset is everything. To be honest with you, that's my biggest takeaway from your story, is that mindset is everything.
It's everything.
You know, because sometimes it's truly mind over matter, and yeah, if it wasn't, it'd be like, oh boy. Well, thank you for your time, and I appreciate
You're
it.
so welcome. It was a pleasure, Yuri.
Okay, hold
Okay.
on.